Hey, Bort,
What's up?
where are we?
We are in Teventer.
Gross. Why did we go to Deventer?
I don't know. Steal stuff.
All right. In all seriousness, we are in our offices, watching the new early premiere before the show actually starts on Twitch of Dragon Age Absolution.
Yep.
That got kind of like secret early released, not really a secret, there are tons of people watching, on Netflix's Twitch account.
Yep.
They had a special event where they had the creative director, one of the creative directors from BioWare over Mass Effect come and talk, and they had some of the voice actors and the showrunner from Absolution come in and talk, which was interesting. Sadly, they all kind of talked and snarked and, made sure people thought they were funnier than the show through the show.
Yeah, right.
Which was
they talked over it.
It was a little annoying, honestly. And I thought the placement of the videos was also a little odd because, like, there were some scenes where it's like I couldn't actually see the character because the little corner videos were so big.
Usually you put them in the bottom, but yeah.
We're also watching it a week before, it's technically released. So that's fun, I guess. And people who really get into, like, anime and animated series and voice acting and stuff like that probably thought it was awesome to see some of their favorite characters. I thought it was fun to see Ashley Williams from Mass Effect in person, because the voice of the main character, Miriam, in this show is the same voice actor as Ashley Williams from Mass Effect.
Well, I like seeing, Tiny Tina because I'm a big fan of Tiny Tina, and she's the voice of my favorite character in the show is Quindon. So,
yeah, no, there's some awesome characters in this. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go swiftly, scene by scene, and just kind of rant, as is our way, and kind of evaluate what's happening in the scenes. So massive spoiler alert if you don't like that and you just want to hear the final rant. You can go to the timestamp that's somewhere in the vicinity of this video that says skip here to avoid spoilers. And if you do want spoilers, they'll be arriving in 3, 2, 1.
Oh my god, they all died.
Alright, so the very first scene, we have an opening heist, right? We basically start with Miriam and her friend Roland, and they're drinking on the job, apparently, talking about how their boss wants them to kind of fight their way in, and they don't like that idea. So Miriam picks up her bow, shoots 2 arrows at the same time, which is clearly meant to establish that she's a badass. Also, that she has the best vision ever, because the rope
elf.
that she hits, yeah, she's an elf.
2 ropes.
Yeah, the 2 ropes that she hits are so far away they couldn't even animate them being visible at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then they do this to kind of knock down some guys who are climbing into the building. The building being a circle tower where they are supposed to sneak in and steal a cache of lyrium.
Yeah.
So they shoot these guys down, distract the Templar guards, put on some mage robes, and just basically walk in the front door. Ta-da!
Yeah.
Issues with this scene, obviously. The frankly unbelievable shot. Having played a mage and a dragon, having played a elf
rogue
in a Dragon Age game before, BS.
Yeah.
Clearly she's like a god elf or something. Maybe she's the reincarnation of Mithrandir, or some other elven god whose name I could butcher. Next scene.
Okay, yeah, so they go back to Dolan, which is the, boss of their crime family or whatever that they're part of, and he's, they get in an argument, and it's clear that they've been arguing before. that Dolan is like losing his grasp, but it doesn't really matter because we're never ever gonna see Dolan again.
Yeah, he's very bent out of shape, being like, I run this crew, not you.
I run this crew. So
which clearly establishes him as a bad leader, because I'm sorry, but if the person you have to say that to is just not listening to your instructions, you just fire them.
It's like Joffrey. If you have to go around saying you're the king all the time, you're not the king. Exactly. Fairbanks and Hera show up, and it's it's clear that that Miriam has some romantic history with Hera and baggage.
Now, Fairbanks is a character from Dragon Age Inquisition. I don't know if he's referenced anywhere else. So he's supposed to be a big callback to like a cool character from Inquisition.
Right.
You don't really get a lot of his vibe. He was kind of like the Robin Hood character in Inquisition, and he was fun. It was an optional quest, so if you've only played through it once, you might have missed him. And then Hera is clearly a mage. And yeah, they have immediate sexual tension, and clearly the break was not amicable, I guess is how I want to frame that. Like, they still clearly like each other, but also Miriam is ticked at Hera for having left. And apparently Hera left to go join the Inquisition, which is how she's come back, trying to do a job with Fairbanks.
But this right here, it makes me not like our main character, because I mean,
she's not professional.
Yeah, unprofessional, and it's like, I guess you're supposed to like feel bad that your girlfriend left you or something. But anyway, just talk about that behind closed doors.
To save the world.
Yeah, to save the world. Yeah. Anyways, which we don't find out yet. But then they get in a fight because Fairbanks is like, by the way, I hired you to take this lyrium. And he's like, oh, well, nice to meet you, Mr. Fairbanks. And he's like, by the way, I called the city guard. They're on their way here.
Yeah, it's a total Robin Hood move. Fairbanks walks in and he's like, oh, I'm the one who hired you. And they're like, oh, that's great. And he's like, well, I actually want to then like just hire these two for another job. And Dolan, whatever his name
Dolph,
is.
Dolph, name is,
there we go. Dolph gets all upset about this. Well, it's my crew and they don't take jobs or whatever.
Yeah.
So Fairbanks just simply says, well, I've already told the guards who took their lyrium and where you are, so you can either, go away or, we can all get arrested. That's great. Yeah. Not an exact quote. Don't quote me on that. And so, but it's just, it's such a Robin Hood move, and it's one of the few things where I feel like you really get some characterization from some of the side characters.
Yeah, and of course Miriam instantly joins the new people, which is a little strange. I mean, they did establish that there was history there, but
they try. She says to the guy, so she gets into a fight with the other guys, and to be fair, most of the other guys don't fight her, which does kind of support the idea that they're all kind of reluctant to turn on the person that they kind of felt was their unofficial leader. Mm-hmm. Some big guy fights her with a club, which is slightly unbelievable that she could block him with like 2 daggers, but whatever. She does do this cool like flip and garrote with like some sort of wire that she has attached to both of the daggers. Where that wire goes, completely unclear. Yeah. But whatever, it's still a cool move. And then basically tells him that his kids need him and that he should like just walk away because she'll kill all of them before she lets them touch her being Hera.
Yeah.
So it's all about like trying to prove, one, that she's a badass and she doesn't need anybody to help her. Like she tells Fairbanks and Hera not to
just stand there. Like he's holding his daggers. She's
tells
holding
them,
her staff.
She's like, y'all stay here. She tells them not to fight, and then takes on this big guy by herself. So it's like clearly she doesn't need any of them. So I don't know.
So she's already max level, which just sucks. In
watching somebody play a video game max level is never fun.
Yeah.
And then. And so they're supposed to establish, one, that she's like this most amazing badass ever, and also that she's still madly in love with Hera.
Yeah. Yeah, so they scamper off like the little cowards they are, and then immediately, we're walking out of the city. We don't even know what city this is, but they're walking away, and everyone's walking because in Dragon Age there are no horses.
Hey, I remember distinctly retrieving horses from somewhere.
Yeah, and you get one horse and you never use it, so everyone's on foot.
It's true, horses are all.
And so they explain, like, okay, so they have their fight, she's like, Hira, you left. And we find out she left to join the Inquisition to help seal the breach, basically the plot of Dragon Age Inquisition, the last game.
Yeah, and you get a really great, you get the best line, the second best line in the entire show, where Miriam basically is like, people like you and me, don't change the world, and Hira replies with, it's because people like you never try.
Yeah, which is, why they broke up, why she left. And we found out it was the Inquisitor, the Herald of Andraste, is the one who actually did it. So then Hira's like, oh no, we need to do this job, then we can have the cheese farm in the hinterlands that we always wanted to have. And so finally, Miriam asks, okay, what's the job? So then we get the big first we have to introduce the crew.
Yeah, so here's the thing that bothers me the most about this show as it stands right now. They're clearly setting this up to be a heist.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, that's what they were doing in the beginning, so they're kind of trying to do the mirroring thing where you have like a very short mission at the beginning that mirrors what's going to happen later for the bigger story, right? I mean, that's what happens basically in Speed, if you think about it. There's a bomb at the beginning, and you have a very small story that mirrors the bigger story that's about to happen. So it's set up to be a heist, but the fun of a heist is putting the team together.
Yeah, they're skipping 90% of that.
Yeah, and getting to see all the characterization, how they mesh, how they don't mesh, but also what their skill sets are, and what kind of cool abilities and what kind of flaws they have, so you can be worried. And also, they've completely, in not building that heist team on screen, they've also managed to undo something that has always been a strong point of most BioWare games. That is, there's such a large cast, you can always find somebody you really love, right? Like, there's always one character for you, right? Usually there's more than one, but there's always at least one, right?
Yeah, and that's the one you order their body pillow from the store. And, yeah.
Yes. For many of you, if you're having a hard time envisioning what I'm thinking about, like what an example of what I'm talking about right now, just, Garrus, and please team.
Yeah.
Without
the main
her,
character should be like either the one putting the heist together, like George Clooney in Ocean's 11, or like the first one to join, so then you get to see everyone else who joins as they go collect everyone.
Yeah, and you can do it like with the new kid coming in, because I feel like a lot of like Ocean's 11 focuses on, is it Matt Damon who plays the new kid in that one?
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
Yeah. You can do it focusing on them, but they then have to get to know everybody. The reason it works in Ocean's 11 is because, like, you also get that the new kid is very curious and also very unproven.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the new kid in this one is, like, the only person who can do anything.
Also, it doesn't gel because the reason she's there, which we'll get into, is that she knows how to get in. Which indicates that this has taken almost zero planning, because the last person they add is the one who actually knows how to get in. Like, Ocean's 11, they needed to have a computer hacker and a trapeze artist, and like all these different things.
Well, you also like the person who we just have to have because they happen to have this one little specialized bit of knowledge. That's a great way of like bringing in the unproven character, right? Like, so if nobody knew what she could do, all the rest of them are badasses, and she's kind of like the wild card, but we have to have her because she knows the way in, that would make sense. But like now she has all of the cards. She does all of the things. She fights melee, she fights ranged, nobody can touch her, she's the most badass of badasses. She's also the only one who knows her way in. And nobody else can do anything or knows anything, as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
right?
She doesn't need the rest of the team.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's not exactly how the team is going to break down. That's just what they've conveyed up to this point.
Yeah. So they talk. There's a cameo between with Cassandra and Liliana. As they explain the MacGuffin, which is called the Circulum Infinitus. And all we know is that it is in the possession of the divine of the Tevinter version of the Chantry, and that it's a blood magic evil item. And, that's all we know.
Yes, I think
it's
Cassandra
bad.
very specifically says that it doesn't matter what it does. All you need to know is that it's extremely dangerous artifact, like fueled by blood magic. Nothing good comes from blood magic, basically. So either Cassandra does know what it does, and they're trying to be vague, but it doesn't strike the right tone. The way it's explained sounds like they didn't know, not she's being mysterious. Than what they had. Anyways.
Yeah, they so she of course refuses, right? As we're following the, hero's journey here. She says, because she says no.
Yeah, she says no, and I swore I'd never go back into that place.
Right. Because the whole thing is that she was a slave. All elves are slaves in Tevinter, or many. And that's true to the game, right? Tevinter is where they have slaves and blood mages, and that will be explained more later, but she doesn't even want to go back, and they're like, oh, but please, you're the only one who knows. And so and then, she brings up Cheese Farm again, and there's a time constraint. We have a very small window of time for some reason, although we don't know why.
I didn't even notice that the first time.
We have a very small window of time. Yeah,
but also, okay, so here's another thing. She's like, I swore I'd never go back there. And I guess they're trying to convince us that she would say yes because it's Hera asking her to.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, they're cute together, but I have been watching this for a whopping 10 minutes. There is not chemistry yet. It's just been very earnest mage girl talking to very grumpy elf girl. And I've seen slower burns.
The reason she says here is you need this mission as much as I do. You need to face your past. So that's okay. Her past of, being a slave. Whatever. All right, so they go on. She agrees, and then it's now we get to meet the squad again and have character building. And so Lachlan, trips over and falls, which I'm
Lachlan
guessing,
is the dwarf.
Yeah, Lachlan's a dwarf. He's telling some joke, some funny story, and he trips and falls on his butt. I'm sure he's going to be the, that character the entire time. And then he finds out he's also the asshole because he finds out she's a runaway, which makes it more dangerous in case she's being hunted. And, Fairbanks has to tell him that, what I've been through is way worse than the deep road, so suck it up.
So that bit has several problems, right? So she says, to him at the end of it, that she assures him that he'll lose his nerve way before she does. He wasn't actually concerned about her losing her nerve. He was concerned that bringing an escaped slave into Tevinter would put them all under the microscope because she might get identified. He's not incorrect. And instead of we have a contingency plan for that, or we know how we're going to avoid that, it's just, wow, aren't you an asshole for being concerned that taking an escaped slave back close to where they escaped from could put them in danger and us.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a logical concern. I mean, if we were going to put this into American history context, right? Hi, I've brought this escaped slave back near the plantation they escaped from. Nothing bad will happen here, right? It's totally okay. Right? It has nothing to do with nerve. It has to do with risk. So her saying that he'll lose his nerve before she does seems unrelated. But sure, she wants to risk her neck? Fine. And then but before that, she says that what she's been through is worse than anything in the deep roads. And this ticks me off to no end. Because you do not I'm not arguing that her trauma is bad, that her experience is awful, that everything she's been through in Teventer is horrific. But that doesn't, in order to establish that, does not require her to spit on the horrific trauma and ongoing slaughter that another culture is experiencing.
Yeah, because if you played Origins, the Deep Roads is an awful place, and it's like a suicide pact or death sentence to go down there and fight Darkspawn until you can no longer fight and then are killed. So, yeah, just let it be there. Okay, so then they show up to the city, and they have to bribe their way in, and Quidian gets mad. Of course, she's my favorite character, the Qunari mage. She gets all mad that they have to pay 5 gold, but standard procedure, you got to bribe the guards, right?
Well, they had to pay 5 gold specifically because they had an elf.
Yes, yeah.
But they didn't say anything about the Qunari, even though they established at the beginning. And if you played the game, Qunari are hated. Yeah, in Teventer. Yeah. Mostly because they're at war with them, like ongoing, off and on for like ever.
Yeah. And then they're sitting on some stairs for no reason, and she's all like, "Oh, it must be terrible being here. I'm sorry." And so then again, Miriam has to explain the job to everyone else because she's now, the leader. But she is the one who knows the way in. So she's explaining to them, this is how we're going to get in. And they kind of divvy up, Fairbanks kind of divvies up the jobs. There's a really cute scene. My favorite scene in the whole thing is when Quidian goes shopping for magical items.
Yes, the best line in the entire show is basically she's lying to the shopkeeper about why she needs to buy this like massive list of potions for her quote unquote boss. And the shopkeep's like, "Oh my god, why does your boss need so many potions?" And she's like, one word, blight, and if you think I'm going to let any of those monsters touch a hair on his beautiful bald head.
Yeah.
And I almost died laughing. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. So, best scene by far. Yeah, Quidian is the best, and she's voiced by the same voice actress of that's Tiny Tina. But she's got a bit of, you can kind of hear that you can kind of, if you know it's Tiny Tina, you can kind of, that's got some Tiny Tina in there.
Yeah, but she's got the adorable, slightly high-pitched hyper voice, and it's fun, especially coming from a giant Qunari. Yeah. So it's fun. I'm trying to find out what else it is. She's Alloy.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no, is she not?
No?
Hold on. She's in. Yeah, no, she is. She's the older Alloy. There was another name, and I was very thrown off. But no, she's the older Alloy.
Okay. And then so that's they're the mages, they're going to do magic stuff, we assume, and then it shows, what are Roland and Lachlan, sorry. It shows them like sparring. They're obviously the warriors,
Yeah.
One
of them's two-handed, one of them has a shield.
Sword and board, just like you would play in the game. And of course they're sparring, and Lachlan says, "Don't try to distract me." Something about your girlfriend, and Roland's like, "I don't have a girlfriend."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a line earlier where why can't I remember her name?
Quidian
Yeah, where
says,
I always
yeah.
forget her. I can't pronounce it. Where Quidian
Quidian.
basically says, "If you don't take him, I will."
Mm-hmm.
To the dwarf, to Lachlan. So apparently we have a interesting love triangle going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I'm sure at some point they're just gonna all agree to be in a relationship together, and then everyone can be happy. But
I mean, they can do whatever they want to. I just think the drama of a love triangle is, it's very fan fiction.
Love triangle. Yeah. And then so there's more of that, and then then they have this bar fight. Okay, so they're at a bar drinking. I guess the planning is done or something.
Yeah, so everybody in the team is drinking together, except of course for our protagonist, who is busy being the boss of this heist now, planning things at the bar. And some dudes from Teventer come in and basically are like, "You're in my spot, elf." And when she doesn't immediately move out of their way, he uses some magic and just kind of like poofs the bar area. And she, in some sort of time magic, manages to retrieve all of the documents that were on the bar.
Yeah.
So Fairbanks tries to extract her out of the situation by like, "Oh, she's mine," drags her out of here. And then there's the Teventer guys are basically like, "Well, we could share her if you for payment or whatever." To which all of the rest of the team takes rightfully deep offense at, and immediately starts, beating the ever-living crap out of everybody who wants to fight them in the bar.
Yeah.
It's a great scene. It's a great fight. It's a little, funny at the end. Somebody comes in and they're like, "What happened?" It was like, "Oh, dollar shots or, free shots or something like that." Basically, a joke about how much everybody had been drinking that explained all the chaos.
Yeah.
It was a great scene. It was pretty funny, except that Miriam is a complete jerk through the entire thing.
Yeah. Like right here, she has to as Fairbanks is dragging her away by the arm, right, which is part of the theater he's putting on to like alleviate the situation in a very, in a way that would attract the least amount of attention to these criminals that are planning a heist. She has to tell him to keep walking. Like, because Miriam has to be in control of it because she's the boss. Like, obviously he's going to keep walking. That was the whole reason he's doing this.
He came up and rescued you, but you're immediately in control of
but we have to establish that she can't be being rescued by someone else. So it was her plan to have him do that, to try and this is exactly why the dwarf was upset, because this is the kind of attention and risk of attention that this whole thing provides. The very fact that they're just...
Which brings an interesting question. If you're in Teventer with an elf who should, because of what's happening in Teventer, they're expected to be a slave, right? Mm-hmm. Who is actually an escaped slave, maybe don't sit in a public bar with them? Like, that just seems like advertising. Hey, something suspicious is going on here.
She should sit sit with everyone else, not off by herself. Like, they're all sitting at a table drinking, and she's at the bar looking at the stupid match.
It's
dumb.
Mean, and I don't know if it's going into the, like, this is supposed to be some sort of character building that they're trying to do, or if it's just lack of planning, right? But either they're establishing her as being so belligerent about all of this that she takes unnecessary risks, or they just didn't consider that is what would have to have been true in order for this scene to take place.
Yeah. So bar fight ensues. Fairbanks says he cares about her honor. which is fine. But I just realized that if you were a mage, why didn't he use any magic? They just had a fist
you're into
fight.
Venter. It's not like anything bad's going to happen to you.
Yeah, exactly. So fight happens, blah, blah, blah. And then Miriam immediately chews them out for fighting in the bar.
She says, well, y'all rescued me, but you did in the stupidest way possible, more or less.
Why can't you just be rescued?
So here's my, again, like my big like plot problem with this, right? So thus far, I have no idea what her plot is, basically, right? Yeah. Like, so you always want your character to be lacking something, right? They always need to have some sort of growth in order to not be a stagnant character. Thus far, she's just been a jerk to everyone. Yeah. And, I mean, being a jerk and turning into not a jerk is a perfectly fine character arc in literary fiction, I suppose, but it's not really what I want out of like character growth in a fantasy, right? Yeah. So she's been a jerk. And then in this scene, I was like, because it's kind of a reversal from the beginning scene. She doesn't fight in this scene. They're all taking care of it for her. Yeah. And she has this look on her face like she never thought somebody else would fight her fights for her. Like she always thought she had to do it for everybody else, right? She tells them not to fight. She's going to go do it at the very beginning. This fight, they're all more than willing to get into a bar fight in Teventer because some, Teventer jerk, dared,
look at her wrong.
Well, I mean, he was clearly trying to like buy her services, right? Yeah, so exactly. he's being awful, right? And they're more than willing to risk all of this to like attack these guys and protect her. And she has this look like, oh, maybe. But so I'm thinking maybe her character arc is going to be that, she can't accept this like found family, right? That this is this awesome found family that she's going to have, and she has trouble accepting and trusting people to that extent, right? Except in the very next scene, she's like, oh yeah, y'all helped me out, even if y'all are stupid about it, right? No, it's but begrudging, even that, sure, but what?
Before that, like, they're all happy about it. Fairbanks is beaming, like, my wife's right. I can't stay out of trouble. They're all having a great time. Like, yeah, we just won a bar fight. It was great. And she gets, like, pissed. And it's like, can you stop? You think you're heroes just for punching a couple of drunk Teventers? And it's like, wow. That's the other reason I don't like her. Just, why can't you be grateful that they defended you?
Yeah. So she wants to be the leader, but she has no ability to build a team. Anytime anybody else does anything, she has to undermine their accomplishments, right? Like she's a joy kill, basically. Yeah. Like she doesn't understand the.
You think that did anything except risk our mission? Like, you being around, like, risks the mission.
You being by yourself at a bar in Teventer is what risks the mission. Which, by the way, is what someone earlier tried to say. Yeah. But whatever. So she gets mad at them for risking the mission. What did she want them to do there?
Yeah. And they what
was her solution for that? They tried to get out. The guy offers to pay Fairbanks for her services. What did she want to have happen there exactly?
Yeah, no, exactly. And she storms off, and they just take it like, oh wow, she's right.
Yeah, nobody fights her on it. Nobody says anything. They should have
been like, shut up, we just saved you. Be a little grateful.
Yeah.
There's no gratitude.
Basically, the vibe is they're all more mature than her, but they have to all manage her.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. That's it. She's immature, and I don't like it. Anyway. Yeah.
Anyways, so the next scene.
She does kind of redeem herself. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Oh, okay. Well, she's looking over the maps again, trying to, and then she comes to the conclusion that it has to be her. And Hera comes and is like, oh, what are you doing? She's like, basically, I've got to go in. So this whole time,
they've been implying, and via little tiny clips, that she's looking for an entrance into this building, which is the Summer Palace.
And the Hera had told her earlier that she wouldn't have to actually go in the building, which is the only reason she agreed. But now she's saying, oh, she has to do it.
Right.
Which I think is, again, just showing that she's a control freak who has to be the boss of everyone. Not so much that she's ready to face her past, which is...
So, I will say, like, if this show ends with her basically, like, having a broken leg and just having to, like, trust everybody else to take care of everything,
yes.
Totally redeemed.
Yes. I want to see her. I want to see her helpless and not knowing what to do, and somebody saving her.
I'm having to ask for help. I need her to
Yes.
I have to ask for help and then have to trust everyone else to do it because she simply can't. And actually, I don't think a broke leg would work. I think it's going to have to be like that she has to admit that, like, she's too identifiable and just trust everyone else to do their job.
Yeah.
Of course, then she'd still be telling them what to do, so maybe that won't work.
Yeah, exactly. Or she needs to make a mistake and fall on her face. And the final scene.
Oh, dude, no! I know what's gonna happen.
What?
She's gonna get caught, and she's gonna get taken back to whoever it was that owned her, and they're gonna have to come rescue her.
Yeah, well.
So that we can see how bad slavery is in Deventer and how it's worse than the deep roads.
Yeah, well, that's probably a good prediction. Yeah. So then the last scene, she's being Batman, and you said Mario,
and Assassin's Creed, and Mario,
Ezio,
and Prince of Persia.
And Prince of Persia, and a level 120 rogue from World of Warcraft. And I already said Batman, and she sneaks in.
She's doing some silly parkour in broad daylight, and nobody notices.
Broad daylight, yeah. And then she sneaks into someplace we don't even know if this is. There's some barrels. We don't really explain where it is, but stabs a couple guys, has blood all over her face.
So it is kind of interesting. She apparently has a tattoo on her face.
Mm-hmm.
So she covers with makeup, I guess, which blows my theory out of the water that
about
all of the makeup. That all the makeup in Dragon Age is basically magic. So she wipes it off and shows a tattoo under her eye, which is kind of like trying to harken back to Fenris from Dragon Age 2, who had all these lyrium tattoos in his skin. He was also a slave from Deventer, an elf slave from Deventer. And so she does that, and when she sneaks after doing the parkour, she goes to just walk in the front door. Not sure why she needed to do the parkour. Goes to walk in the front door, and some guard is like, where the hell do you think you're going? And she kind of just tilts her head so that he can see the tattoo, and he's like, oh, never mind, you can pass, so sorry. So clearly she's marked as belonging to somebody that is so powerful that their slaves are allowed to go wherever they want. Right? Or that she's a member of a group where they are allowed to go wherever they want in this place, right? So there's some intrigue about her history now at the end of the episode. And I feel like if we had started here, actually, I'd have more curiosity about this show and be less annoyed at everything.
Yeah.
But so then, she gets in and then murders everybody in the wine barrel room. And then lets the team in.
Yeah.
As they stand there and wait for her to do everything again.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure she'll tell them what to do next, so... Yeah.
Still not clear on why she needs any of them.
Okay, so that's all the scenes.
Yep.
What's your hot take? What do you give it?
My hot take is that I hate the animation. And I know most people disagree with me, but it feels very Prince of Egypt. Who was that?
Art style?
Yeah, the art style is very that old cartoon Prince of Egypt. I think it was DreamWorks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one about Moses.
Yeah. It's very smooth. It lacks the kind of intricate detail that I really like. So if you compare it to and now I'm sure the comparisons between this and Arcane are going to be fast and deep. And I will preface this by saying that Arcane is not like my favorite show ever, but the art in that was so pretty and so intricate, like the level of details, like, you know, there's freckles on people's noses and tiny little like scratches and scars and wrinkles in their clothes and like little embroideries. So like everything is so smoothed over in this this cartoon, and it feels very like He-Man or something.
Yes, yeah, it does like He-Man. It's like they're doing it they did not invent the style, and I think Arcane invented its own style, and they had to push it really hard. And I think they either spent way more money and time on Arcane, which that's the comparison that people are going to make. My biggest problem was with the pacing. Like, it was so fast.
It's very choppy.
The cycle of emotions that are gone through, and like at first this scene is funny, and then it's like it turns sappy, and then it turns romantic, and then we're fighting, and it's like
at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, at the drop of a hat, it just changes. Like it just feels weird. And like the whole heist thing, we're not getting a chance to know these characters. We know they have quirky personalities, but we don't know. We're being told what they are. We're told that Hira is a healer. We're told that, you know, these two guys, Roland and Lachlan are warriors. You know, we don't get to really see anything.
Like, we see them sparring, but like I don't know why any of these people were chosen for this particular like super important mission, right?
Yeah.
Like nothing except for Miriam's knowledge of the inside of this building justifies anybody being here. Fairbanks, I kind of get, but all of me understanding why Fairbanks could be there comes from me having played Inquisition.
Yeah. And here's what's missing from her. So for standard heist story, you have to have the leader knows everything, right? There's supposed to be, you know, which is one reason why this off. The leader is the one who knows why everyone in the team is needed to be there, because there's a master plan, and you first collect everyone, and then you might have them practice weird things, and then you tease that master plan. You have them practicing, and you have maybe some of them want to leave, or like, oh, why are we even doing this? And then you have to then you have the person, the George Clooney, give you the master plan, and it's so, then you see what those little weird things and how all the pieces fall into place, right? Yeah. Like a Swiss clock, or like a clockmaker, you know, and you have to case the joint. Right? We don't even know where we're stealing from yet. Like, they have to, like, there's 13 levels on this building. And,
I know. I know nothing about this. I mean, they said something about like how it's actually built. It's like 3 buildings. It looks like one, but it's actually 3, but they're all kind of interconnected. Like, I want to know about this building. I'm highly curious about this cool. And as part of a heist, wouldn't that be part of the research?
Yeah. Instead, it seems so easy. We just have an elf who's been there before, who can look at some maps, and then we're in.
So I feel like part of the problem is, that they don't acknowledge that they're trying to do a heist. And part of me wonders if like the heist is only going to be like, it's going to be over at the beginning of episode 2. And then it's going to be on to something else. But like, I feel like this heist should have been the whole first season, right? Like you spend the first 2 episodes building your team. The 3rd episode is y'all going over the plan, and something goes wrong at the end. 4th episode is you scrounging around trying to like figure something else out. 5th episode is you try to do the plan, and it looks like it's all going to hell in a handbasket. 6th episode, you manage to pull it off because who knew we could just repurpose this other thing that we had already planned for the first plan into the second plan.
Yeah.
Ta-da, we pull it off, but oh my god, somebody got captured. Now we have to do something next season.
Yeah, and I like that. Let's do predictions. So your prediction is that Miriam's going to get captured by her former master. Oh, and she's going to have to face her trauma. My prediction is that at least Hira is going to die.
Ooh.
Yeah. Everyone's a little too friendly at the moment. This feels like it could be like a right before everything just goes to shit in a big way.
Okay,
You know?
so that's your prediction. What is your hope? Because like, let's be honest, we want to like this show. Like, we're huge. Like, we like Dragon Age. We want this show to be good. What's your hope?
I hope that that they spend a little more time fleshing out these characters. I hope that Hera doesn't die. I think that's going to happen. But I want to. Maybe they can do a Lost style where they do take the time to do some flashbacks.
I mean, if
we maybe show off some of the skills that each of these characters has.
I mean, we'll just fast forward straight to the end of that, and they're basically all dead.
Well, okay.
Spoilers for Lost.
I'm not talking about. No, Lost is so old. I know. I mean, like, yeah, I want to know Lachlan's story. I want to know even Roland's story. Why is Roland so chill about everything? You know, so
I don't want to know their story.
Okay.
I don't. I just want them to be characters now, right? Like, they're not characters now. I am curious about some of their backstories. But if the backstory comes and royally F's over the future, that would be enough for me, right? Like, I don't need to like have a flashback for it. Those always feel like they're not actually moving the plot forward. They're just there for like fun. Like, they don't. It doesn't feel like there's any forward momentum in those.
Okay, so what's your hope?
I really want Miriam and Lachlan. Mm-hmm. It's not Lachlan, it's Lachlan, right? With an O?
Something like Lachlan. Yeah.
I want them to be best friends by the end of this. That's my hope. I feel like the two grumpy bastards should just be like fist bump, F all these people. You know?
Yeah.
I think that would be fun. But, you know, I love my dwarves.
Yeah.
So, score.
I think I give it a 5.5 out of 10.
Ouch.
Because, and it's hopeful. Like, I fully expect this 5.5 to go up as they flesh out these characters. Like, that's my big thing. And yeah. What about you?
I think I'm going to give it an 8.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Mostly because I'm too generous of a grader. It should probably be a 7, but I'm going to give it an 8. For potential, I feel like they do have a lot of potential. The side characters are all really likable right now, mostly because they're not really fleshed out.
It's the best.
Yes. I like all the side characters, you know. I think they're fun, but I'm giving it an 8 with the expectation, because I'm a pessimist, that I'll be lowering it in the future. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you can learn about how both of us approach life from this. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. We should probably stop here. And yeah, as when the show comes out, December 9th, you said?
Yep.
I
know the first episode is coming out.
One episode, or
I'm sure
is it bingeable?
I'm sure it's.
I mean, it's Netflix,
somewhere.
So they got to put them all out, right?
You should go Google that if you want to know if it's all coming out in one day. You one person who's listening to this.
Oh yeah, I thought you meant me.
No, not you. I don't care.
Yeah.
Either I'll watch them all or I won't, you know.
But also, you know, comment below, you know, did you like the episode? I assume you watch it. I don't know if you'd watch this, but if you hadn't seen it.
Yeah. Well, it is, you can go rewatch it on Netflix's Twitch account.
Okay.
It's recorded.
Cool.
It's there as a video.
So yeah, you know, let us know what you think. You know, what are your predictions? And yeah, follow us on social media. On my Twitter, I'm at Bortigon1, Bortigon 1.
And
the number.
I'm effing Merry, EFFING MERRY.
Yeah.
Just about everywhere.
Yeah. So thanks for watching /listening, and have a good day.
Bye.